Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for the first of the upcoming eclipse season readings. This one is going to be the lunar eclipse occurring on November 30th, 2020, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I should say, but times are going to vary. My name is Vickieverlie. I do psychic astrology and psychic tarot and channeling. This is definitely not your traditional astrology reading, even though I'm using a chart. I use the chart as a jumping off point or even a scrying tool I have studied astrology for, since probably the early mid-90s. I started really getting into astrology heavily. But I also bring in a lot of downloads and other information. So I color outside the lines quite a bit. So if you are a very rigid, by the book astrologer, this might be not for you, okay? You don't have to put comments in there that what I say is this doesn't mean that. And then secondly, if you are somebody who's not in astrology at all and thinking this looks like I don't know what, I'm not going to be able to understand it, hang in there, because I'd used astrology as a jumping off point, but we also we get into a lot of psychic stuff. Also, a lot of people say that they watch my videos to learn astrology. So if that's something you're interested in, maybe you can pick up a few things along the way. All right, so we're working with the eclipse. It's a full moon eclipse, a lunar eclipse. Therefore, it's a purging. Something will be eclipsed out of your life, or can be eclipsed out of your life. People get all freaked out about this and scared about, oh, it's the eclipse and something is going to be eclipsed out of my life. Oh my God. And you don't have to fear it. Being aware, being knowledge is power, and being aware of what's going on, you could actually use this energy to eclipse something out of your life. Because sometimes we need things eclipsed out of our life. We always do. There's always things in our paths that are blockages in the road that we need to be removed, that we need eclipsed out of our lives. And this can be a very powerful tool to do so. So you might want to use the energy to remove obstacles that are in your way, or obstacles that are impeding you from reaching your full potential. And the fact that the eclipses are always tied in with the nodes. The sun is conjunct the south node, and the moon is, well, it's a pretty wide orb, but the moon is connected with the north node. Let's just say connected with. The nodes are always alignment with our true path. The nodes are always alignment with our true calling in life. That's what the node's purpose is, and what the nodes can help us to do. So you might want to, if you are into astrology, you want to look at where these Gemini and Sagittarius axis falls in your chart, because the house it falls in and the planets that it's connected with, of course, will also help maybe feel it out for yourself, like how could this affect me personally in my chart. But it affects the collective. It affects us all. And there are some key things that could definitely affect us all. So we're dealing with the Gemini and Sagittarius axis. Gemini is rules the third house in Mercury, and it's our everyday communications. It's our talking, speaking. It's our mental mind as it's engaged in the 3D reality, reading, comprehension. It's what our conscious brain is doing, or the functions of our conscious brain, I guess you could say. So it's very much in the mental realm. Now, the ninth house is also, it's like a continuation of that, or the higher octave, or the higher expression of it. I think actually Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, for those people who are going to want to correct me. But the ninth house is expansion beyond our everyday things and our everyday neighborhood. This is our neighborhood and where we live. This is the constructs of our world, the matrix, if you will, in our mental mind. And then this is going beyond that, This is the bigger picture. This is the higher education. This is long distance travel and expanding our horizons out beyond our, what's that Pink Floyd, kicking around the same old dirt in your hometown or something like that. That wasn't quite right, but I'm sure many of you know what it is. Kicking around the same piece of ground in your hometown. This is beyond that. This is seeing the world. And it's not just seeing the world, and especially in our modern day, as we are not, we can visit people from all over the world without even leaving our home. It's expanding our knowledge base. It's expanding our ideas. You could even think of the third house as the ideas that we were taught as a child, or the imprint, part of the imprint that was put upon us growing up, and the, just the box that we're put in, but learning just, how the world works in a very basic way. And then this is more moving into adulthood and things that, expanding beyond these initial educational things, ideas, thoughts, expanding our mind to reach out, becoming our own thoughts and ideas. It rules religion. And it makes me think about, I know I was raised Catholic, and many of us, were raised in a particular religion. Some people were not. I didn't raise my children in any particular religion. But my mom said, well, you're going to go through the thing, you're going to make your confirmation, and then when you're an adult, you can do what you want. You can have your own beliefs. But these are the beliefs and the way of thinking that we're setting up for you right now. Or even, in a harsher note, many of us, when you're living under my roof, this is how you're going to do things my way. It's a little bit off the beaten path, but this is definitely exploring beyond our initial indoctrination into 3D reality and to something much more expansive. So that's what the eclipses are calling us all to do. Calling us all to do if you hear the call. And if this is something that interests you, you can move forward by great leaps and bounds at these times, in whatever areas. So if you are wanting to make a big leap, if you're looking for an awakening, if you're looking for higher answers, this could come through. By the same token, it's actually interesting because the South Node is the one that's in Sagittarius, so that rules over the past. The South Node rules over the past and where we've been, and then the North Node is the future, where we're going. So the North Node is calling us to more into the Gemini energy. So it's examining, what I'm hearing is examining our scruples. That's an interesting word. I think scruples are more or less like morals, if I'm not mistaken, right? Our morals. Examining, it's almost like they're definitely saying scruples, but it's almost like another key word for Gemini could be scrutinize, Scrutinize, look at things in finer detail. With the Sagittarius energy, it's more broad strokes. It's more open, broad strokes. And then we get into the Gemini, it's more refined, detail-oriented, crossing T's, dotting I's, expressing ourselves, articulating perfectly clearly, because sometimes when we're in the Sagittarius... Well, one of the things, what they just showed me, was, this rules over scholarly pursuits and things like this. Sometimes in astrologers, can do this too, where they just talk over you. I remember working at the psychic fairs, and some of these readers would just be like, well, blah, 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 blah. They would just be, regurgitating all this. And really, it was book knowledge. It was book knowledge of stuff they read. And it was just like... they were trying to come off as I know more than you. At least that's the way I took it. I never resonated with that. I had a friend who's since passed away, but her and I used to joke. We say, yeah, we give meat and potatoes readings. The people who are coming to you for a reading, they're not interested in all your verbose, ramblings on about this and that. They're interested in what's going on in my life. How can this help me in my life? I need answers to questions. There's stuff that's going on in my life. And can be a bridge that can be forged where it's the best of both worlds. Well, yes, maybe you have this knowledge. Yes, maybe you have this connection from your past, either past lives or just because you've been studying for a really long time. And anything, not just psychic readings, anything. Maybe you have a lot more knowledge than somebody else that you're dealing with. But if you just come off like, you know, I'm all high and mighty and I know everything, and you're just a little peon who knows nothing, people don't respond to that. You're not going to get the reaction, the response that you need. The ninth house is teaching. So if we're all teaching and learning all the time from each other. And if you want to, most of the time, if you disagree with somebody, it could be a teaching moment. It could be a teaching moment and a learning moment for yourself. So let's bring it down into 3D reality, into words and terms that people can relate to and understand. Explained in a way that is not condescending, in a way that is just easy to understand and clear. And third house is community too. Third house is your community, kind of like your tribe energy. So let's bring it into the tribal way of understanding and communicate in a way like that. And you could nail down some things that maybe you've kind of been floating around. I know I do this all the time. Like I have notebooks and I have all these ideas. And while they're still in this realm of the higher mind, they're not, you know, this is a time when you can really get concise and really bring those things and nail those things down. Again, from the broad strokes to the actual thing. Maybe you have an outline for a manuscript or a book that you want to write. Now you could really get in and start writing it. Getting into that nitty-gritty. Getting into the fine-tuning of the details. These are the kinds of things that a full moon in Gemini could bring about, because it is a full moon in Gemini. Getting really clear about things. Maybe it just coming home and it just nailing it home. Maybe you've been kind of fishing around, or, you know, this just feels like things have been kind of moving around a little bit. And also the square to Neptune's been long going on here too. 18 with the nodes, 18, 19 degrees. So this again brings in this dreamy quality, this creative, this dreamy, this spiritual quality. And you kind of have an idea of it, and then you just, bam, you just get it. You just get it in your head, and it's just like, oh, I get it. Oh, I see now. I see, I understand. You know, the light bulb goes off. I really have a big mental grasp on this now. Or even depending on the houses again, or how it's aspecting your personal chart. You know, something that's been going on in your life, an ongoing issue or problem, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, like something, the switch flips or clicks. You know, all of a sudden you can just see it. Your mental mind just grabs it and understands it and can see it and understand it. It's like, ah, eureka. That's what I'm hearing, eureka. All right, speaking of the higher octave of Gemini, which is the ruler of this whole thing, Uranus is a higher octave of that in, you know, book astrology. Sorry about this. I'll spray something here. Lilith has come in here. Lilith has come in to join up with Uranus. This is going to be some feisty, interesting energy. And at the time of this eclipse, the part of fortune is exactly on Uranus. So wherever the part of fortune is, this is the direction we want to go. This is to get the way out of anything difficult, because, you know, an eclipse is an opposition. It's an opposition, and oppositions can bring opposition, you know. I'm hearing opposition. It's actually tradition from Fiddler on the Roof. I think that's Fiddler on the Roof. Tradition. That's what I'm hearing, but I'm hearing it with the word opposition in there. That's another thing. If you're a newcomer to my videos and my channel, you know, I'm a lifelong musician also, and but my guides definitely communicate through music with me, and I think it's half of the time it might be a lot of my buddies who are passed on the other side, my musician friends. They might still be hanging around, helping me with these readings and whatnot. Actually, I'm looking here. We have a grand cross and are immutable, immutable signs. So we've got the Neptune opposed Vesta, squaring with the nodes, and including this, where all this eclipse action is happening. We'll come back to Uranus. So Vestal is in the sign of Virgo, and I feel like Vesta may end up being the true ruler of Virgo someday. because Virgo shares a rulership right now with Mercury. So we've got full moon in Gemini, ruler of Mercury ruled, which it is, and Mercury also rules over Virgo. And if you're learning astrology, another thing is, there's another one, there's Venus. Venus rules Taurus and Venus rules Libra. It used to be that Saturn ruled Capricorn and Saturn ruled Uranus, and then the true ruler was discovered, ruled Aquarius, and then the true ruler, and there was another one in Scorpio. Scorpio used to be ruled by Mars. Mars rules Aries, and Mars used to rule Scorpio until the true. So there's two more where the true rulership is yet to be discovered in this whole thing, and I feel like Vesta, the Vestal Virgins, come on. Why wouldn't that be the true ruler of Virgo, the Virgin? Well, that just makes complete sense. But anyways, it's again back to the detail-oriented things. This brings in the aspect of health. Maybe we're going to have some information about health. Maybe there's been Neptune, some vague kind of symptoms sort of hanging around here. When I said that, I'm hearing that song, hanging around, I feel fine. Da, 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 da. Taking my time. Hanging around. It's really low. I know there's a line in there that I feel fine, and I was talking about health, but hanging around. But maybe there's some kind of, it feels real strong to me, like the things that have been like sort of hanging around, maybe in your physical body, in the form of symptoms, maybe in creative expressions, maybe in ideas and concepts. But it really feels like, even though it's Gemini, and that's not really a grounding into the earth, that there's going to be this grounding into the earth. Well, Virgo is an earth sign. Uranus, back to where we were over here, this is all earth. And I've said it before, and, Taurus is the most grounded of all the earth signs, I would say. So Uranus is a lot of ideas, that's Uranian energy, that are in the ether, are being grounded. Part of Fortune and Lilith. Wherever Lilith goes, she kind of lights a fire under their asses. Maybe not people's asses, but she's kind of like, well, are we going to do it or are we not going to do it? Lilith doesn't dick around. Lilith is like, she's a go-getter and a doer, and she's really strong in her convictions, and she's not wishy-washy about anything. She's like in your face. Okay, this is what you want to do? Then let's do it. She definitely felt that when she was with Chiron and Mars. I definitely felt that energy. There was a lot of, in the United States, there was a lot of fighting over politics and things, and COVID and everything. But that was Lilith going through there and stirring the pot. Lilith stirs the pot, and that's not always a bad thing. When you're dealing with Mars and Chiron, it could be, not bad, but it can be, combative, disruptive. But with Uranus, if we take it to the highest level, Uranus wants us to go to the next step. Uranus, one giant leap for mankind. That's what's coming through here. Uranus wants this to help us ascend, but it can only get so close because of the vibratory differences. That's what a lot of my channeling stuff. That's a lot what comes through. About the raising the vibration. So. Uranus is up here fluttering around. It's up in the ethers. And Taurus is grounded in the earth. So, Taurus has to raise up and Uranus has to come down in order, there's a bridge that's being, a bridge of connection that's being made. That is possible to be made. There's always a low and a high. A lot of times people will tend to go to the negative. Well, Saturn's bad, Pluto's bad. Bad things are going to have, eclipses are bad. No, there's always something. There's always some. Uranus and Taurus, that's, it's, I don't know if it's its detriment, but it's not a good connection, that's going to be rough, blah, blah, blah. It's a bridge. There's a bridge. It's just a very different kind of vibration from each other. And when the planets connect, it doesn't have to cause discord and harmony in balance. There is a thread or a bridge that is established and a connection that is formed. There's a connection formed. It's right here in front of our faces. Right here it is. So there's a connection formed. We could say, we could say, oh, this Uranus, I'm Taurus, and this Uranus energy is just too much for me. Get it away from me. It's disrupting my being grounded and stubborn and staying where I want to be. Get it. I can't take it. And Uranus could be like, you know what? I feel like I'm just banging. You know, this rock. I can't penetrate this rock. It's just too hard. I can't penetrate it. Screw it. And not even try. And it could, you know, if you're not open to the differences, that's what this is again too, you know. This is the differences. This is who our tribe and our way of thinking that we've always been associated with. And this is thinking outside the box. This is being aware of how other people think. And being enthralled by it, or embracing it, or being excited by it. It can be very exciting. These are exciting times. May you live in interesting times, right? Well, we're in them, aren't we? So it is interesting. And the part of fortune is here, so we're meant to embrace it. And Lilith's not going to let... Lilith is like, you know what? We're going to look at this. We're going to deal with it. We're going to experience it. We're not going to deny it or... you know, Lilith is harsh truths. You know, harsh might be the wrong word. Maybe not harsh, but that's what I'm hearing. The cold, hard truth. But it's the cold, hard truth shall set you free. That's what's coming through. The cold, hard truth shall set you free. Yes, I like that. The other thing that's going on with this whole stellium here in Taurus with Lilith, Uranus, and part of fortune is it's opposing Venus exactly. Venus is opposing Uranus. So we're meant to strike out again. Venus, do what we love, learn to love. It's almost like, we could think of this as like food. When you're a kid, like kids want to eat chicken nuggets and, you know, mac and cheese and, you know, whatever, you know, apple slices or whatever. You know, kids like have a very limited palate, and they only want to eat. You know, I remember when my kids were little, all they wanted to eat was chicken nuggets every day for like years. It's like you gotta eat other things. This is tasting other things. This is tasting other things in life and in the world at large. Venus is pleasure, and Venus is the ruler of Taurus, by the way. Venus rules Taurus. So it's Taurus's ruler of Venus is opposing it and wanting to go beyond again. It's wanting to go try new things, be different. The 7th house is partnerships. 8th house is like sex. So, I mean, it could be for some of you, maybe there's going to be some sexual explorations happening. I mean, that's definitely a thing. And Scorpio rules sex. But, you know, 8th house is also one of the partnerships houses. It's money. It's the house of sex. It's money from the partnership. And so it's like trying out, you know, this half of your chart is kind of you, and this half of your chart is other people. So it's like embracing other people here. Venus, maybe there's some maybe you'll really like these different types of food. Maybe, you know, once you try it, you'll like it. Mikey, remember that one? He likes it. Hey, Mikey, try it. You'll like it. You know, that could be the theme for this reading. You know, try it. You'll like it. You might like it, but you'll never know if you don't try it. Okay, let's go over here because, oh, sorry about that. Let's hit the mute button on this phone here. The Jupiter-Pluto conjunction just happened. It's still an orb, and we really, this whole thing, we got 26, 27, 28, and 23. We've been dealing with this for a long time, but we've had, I just happen to have this over here. We've had this Jupiter-Pluto. We had the last conjunction, as I'm recording this just a couple days ago, on the 12th of November, the last conjunction of Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. So we had the first one, I believe, well, this year we had one in April. It was like early April, April 4th. Then we had one at the end of June, like June 30th. And then we have the last one in November 12th here. So it's always good to look back, because, again, astrology is always cyclical. So what happened? Maybe what was going on in your life in April, what was going on in the end of June, and then what was going on now. And how did those things play out? There is a connection between these 3 time frames for you. You can just look at it just like that. But all of this stuff is getting ready to go into Aquarius. We're going to have this big shift into Aquarius, which again, Uranus rules Aquarius. So there's that Uranian energy. And Uranus rules the future. The part of fortune is telling us, let's embrace the future. This is the last hurrah of this stuff here. Although Pluto, it's a couple more years, but Pluto's not going to be surrounded by these guys anymore. They're going ahead and they're moving ahead. And it's going to be real powerful right around the solstice. Winter solstice, of course, if you're in the northern hemisphere, summer solstice. But the December 21st solstice. These guys are going to be conjunct Saturn and Jupiter over here in Aquarius. So we're definitely shifting, the age of Aquarius is upon us. And this is like the last blast of this Capricorn stuff here. Now, I'm a natal Capricorn sun, and I have Mercury in Capricorn in my chart, so I'm pro-Capricorn. And I'm also pro-Saturn. Saturn being the ruler of Capricorn. I don't know if that just because I'm a native Capricornian sun sign in that, or that, but I have affinity with Saturn, and I've had many blessings come to me on Saturn transits. So Saturn is also looked at as the bad, and Pluto a lot of times too. They're looked at as the bad guy. And oh God, the eclipse is happening right when we've got this Pluto Saturn. Oh my God, the sky is falling, the sky is falling, right? Well, the sky's not falling. Saturn rules foundations. It will not support anything that is unsustainable. When you've gone through a tough time with the Saturn transit, that's the universe showing you that whatever you were trying to do is not sustainable. Because Saturn doesn't get behind things that aren't going to be sustainable for the next 30 years or beyond. Because that's the Saturn transit. So you're fighting the inevitable. If you've had a hard time with the Saturn transit, if you've had a hard time here with this Jupiter-Pluto, these dates, because this is all Saturn ruled. It's all Capricorn, Saturn ruled. And Jupiter is making it bigger and really emphasizing it. Jupiter is also just showing us it. It's just like show your ass. Asses are being shown. Asses are being shown all over the place, When somebody says show your ass, if you're not familiar with that vernacular, it just means like show who you really are. Like somebody's coming trying to play off like they're a certain way, and they show something they do or say, something's exposed that shows what they're really all about. And usually it's not to their best side. It's like showing your ass means showing your underside, underbelly. Pluto. So asses are being shown here. The truth, and Jupiter rules this where the South Node is. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so Jupiter's a big player in this thing too. And so it's being shown to us. That was the blessing of this whole debacle, this whole crazy time. And it's not, I'm not just pointing the finger at any one particular person or political party or anything, because everybody behaved ugly. There was a lot of ugly behavior all around. There was a lot of ugliness flying around. So asses were shown. Asses were being shown. Asses are being shown. That's what they're telling me. Like being shown the door. That's what they're telling me. And that's just me. Okay. But this is about to change. So this is this last blast, last hurrah. And when I look at this, this is where some of the psychic stuff comes in. I look at this and I feel like Jupiter's saying, okay guys, it's been a blast. We've had fun. We've had good times. We've had bad times. It's been real. But I've got to move on. I've got other things to do. But it's almost like Jupiter's kind of saying here, well, can we be friends? Can we all be friends? What have we learned? What is the message of Jupiter in the 9th house of Sagittarius? What have we learned from this? Can we expand outside of our box? Can we look at expand our rigid belief systems and see that maybe we have room for expansion in our belief systems, whoever you are. It's not pointing at one particular thing. What have we learned from all this? How can we expand beyond this? Saturn, Capricorn, 10th house. Again, I talked about this a little bit in the last one too. Also rules, the 10th house is really what we're aspiring to. So what do we deem important? Uranus is showing us that too. What do we value? What do we really, really value? What's really important to us? And it's not a thing of shaming or, well, yeah, you value the calf, the golden calf, you know. Although some might view it that way, and maybe if you have been really on the idol worship, you know, and materialistic side, which, you know, today with a lot of the people who are stars, most of them I don't know who they are. I don't pay attention. I just don't pay attention to it much. But, you know, people, you know, making all this money because of whatever, this and that, you know, superficiality and excess, the golden calf, you know. You know, maybe if you're overly, I mean, sometimes I guess it could be entertaining and fun if you're into that. I'm not trying to say that it's bad if you're into that stuff. But, you know, if you're overly into it, you know, or it's possessing, anything that's possessing your life and becoming an obsession, you know, maybe you need to expand beyond that. But it can be very freeing, is what I was getting to. It's not just social media or people who you know, are famous for doing nothing, you know, I guess is what I was talking about. It's not just that, but it can be very freeing. Because realizing, it's like the Two of Rods in the tarot, you know. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, it happens to be really right-handy. Isn't it cool? It was right-handy, and I pulled it out, and it's looking at the Wheel of Fortune. Because that's what the Two of Rods is all about. You know, this is the key to everything. This is the key to success. This is the key to happiness. This is the key to finding the right person, is being on the right path. When we veer from our true paths, there was a whole section in this a couple of times ago with the channeling about how, you know, people coveting what other people have. And, well, if they did it, then I could do it, or I should do it, or they look like they're happy and successful, then I'm going to do that too, and I'll be happy and successful. Not if it's not your true path. Once finding that true path, being free to be awakened to what we really value, because the second house is what we value. It's the house of money, but it's what we value. So this freedom of what do we value, really being able to discover it, that's the key to everything. What do we value? Because what you value is you're being called to, that's your path to go. Even if it's obscure or weird or, you know, not like anybody else. Hopefully that would be good. Hopefully it's not like anybody else, because it's not meant to be exactly like anybody else. Uranus is finding our own, what we value, and then you know, we will pursue it. That's what we should be pursuing. Not necessarily what's going to give us the most power or the most money or the most status. What's going to give us the most fulfillment? What's going to give us the clearest path to, because once you tap into that, then it's going to be like crazy. I saw some thing about like tumbleweeds, and it was so funny to me. There's somebody, they live in an area where there's just tumbleweeds out the wazoo. There's tumbleweeds everywhere. And so they started selling them, and they box them up and sell them, and it's turned into this huge business for them. But they had a problem, like these dumb tumbleweeds are always around everywhere, but they couldn't find a way to make money. You know, there's so many crazy ways to make money. You know, do what you love and the money will follow. You know, that is a big thing. And maybe not even just making it about the money. If you have to sell your soul to make a buck, is it really worth it? You know, if you have to do something that you hate every day, and you just hate it, and it's just draining the life out of you, and it's just soul-sucking in order to make money, is it really worth it? Uranus, new ways of making money. And being more fulfilled and not trying to keep up with the Joneses and compare myself to them, Uranus wants you to let your freak flag fly, everybody. Let that freak flag fly. And Uranus is a big player in this reading. So it's the full moon in Gemini. Good time to journal and write. Good time to write down your thoughts and then throw them into the fire with the Sagittarius energy. Put them in, they're going into the past. Put them in the rear view, in the past, through the fire. Write down what you want to release and purge. And even if it's just emotional, getting thoughts out on paper, or getting digging and finding those the emotions behind, because it is a moon. The emotions behind those thoughts. Sometimes when you write down your thoughts, you realize how absurd it sounds too. This again reminds me of the Byron Katie, The Work. So is this true? Is it really true? And usually, if you ever watch any of those sessions, I haven't tuned into her lately, but you watch her sessions, and at first they're so sure in their mind that this person's doing this to me, and that's happening, and this is my story. Write your new story. And then by the end of it, they're laughing, they're going, you can see the absurdity and how silly you've been by your rigid thought patterns. And you feel lighter and you feel better. So good time to write things down, release, write, get it out. You could have a big aha moment, you could have a big awakening or a big, wow, I never even thought of that. Full moon illuminates. It's illuminating our thoughts and minds. Okay. All right, everybody, so this is the reading. Hey, I am open for the year ahead readings if you want to do it's a quick astrology, and it's psychic, and I use the cards too. Those are going to be open till the end of the year. A lot of people are ordering it. Thanks to all my regulars who order every year, and it is always my most popular reading and probably the most comprehensive. It does astrology, and it looks at the major transits, the eclipse, and any big transits. The Aquarius is the big transit thing that's happening. We've got the Jupiter and Saturn moving into Aquarius next year. So that's going to be a big astrological influence. And then I also look through like the eclipses. And then, of course, if you're having any other big transits, in your chart. And then I move on and we do 4 quarters of the year psychic tarot spread. And so it's a cool reading, and so if you're interested in that, you can find out the information. If you enjoy my content, please do hit the subscribe button. It does help me out with YouTube algorithms and whatnot. And I do love reading your comments. I always do read them all. Thank you for liking and sharing and subscribing and donating, everything that you do to keep this channel going. Please do check out my website. I've just finished one book channel material. It's pretty cool and interesting. And I'm way into the second book. I'm way into it. Actually, I just looked over and I have my notebook right here. If I can find that. This is the notebooks I take with me and fill up. I write. Talk about writing. I write them. I write them out, longhand. Maybe I can find that thing about real quick. If I can find it, I will read it to you. It was in recent days. I might not be able to find. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Let me see here. Some of this is personal. About how the career path and that it was really good. It was really all the stuff that they come through with is pretty good, pretty cool. And here I am. Wasting time on the video, but I would like to read about it. Read it to you if I can find it. Well, if I can't find it, I'm going to read you something, but I really would like to come and read that thing about how you find your Okay, it looks like I can't find it. So I'm still going to just leave you with a little reading from this. So here it is. When the season of change begins, each leaf expresses the change differently. Some are loud, some are soft, some are bright, some are dark. Some fall sooner, others later. In the end, all succumb to the inevitable change, in which there is no denying. Just because one tree has shed its leaves does not follow that the others would as well. One would not go about picking the leaves from the trees where leaves have not fell. So it is with the human consciousness. Each will come to change in their own time. That is the natural order, the rhythm of life. Okay, that was a good one. That was a good one to read. If this kind of stuff interests you, the first book is out and the second one is on the way. Don't forget about the year ahead readings. If you like astrology readings and you're interested in the node and your fate and your thing in life, I do have those. I do those soul readings, which I get into that a lot. I look at the node and Saturn and some specific things and look at some past life stuff in your chart. So if that interests you, that's also available. All right, everybody, let's harness the power of this eclipse. It doesn't have to have its way with us. Let's have our way with it. Let's use the power of this eclipse to create the changes in our lives that we want to see, to release the whatever the blockages are through mental expression, writing, talking, and our minds. Okay, remember that you are love and beauty incarnate. Have a great full moon lunar eclipse in Gemini, and I'll speak to you soon.